It's a new year. It's 2021. There have been a lot of changes. And one of the more positive changes, I am pleased to report, is the relaunch of the No Limits podcast. Now, it's been very scatty up until this point. I've done an episode here, an episode there. Hasn't been very consistent because of how many plates that I've been spinning. But if you follow my social media, you know that very recently I left my job. And that means that I now have a lot more time and a lot more capacity to do the things that I'm passionate about, including things like this, including the podcast. So I've got a great guest for you today. We have a lot of things in common. We're both former soldiers. We're both triple amputees. We were both wounded on the battlefield. And we're both former Invictus Games athletes. My guest today is a friend of mine called Dave Watson. Anyone in the Invictus or injured veteran community will know Dave. He's a very out there, dare I say, loud character. He's a great guy. Been on a journey, lots of highs, lots of lows, and he's going to share them with you now. So sit back, relax. If you got feet, put them up. Here is Dave Watson. All right, Dave, welcome to the No Limits podcast. You are my very first guest of 2021. So thank you for popping my cherry for this, what hopefully is going to be a bit more of a normal year this year. How's things?
All good, mate. All good. Thanks for inviting me onto your podcast.
Oh, mate, I know we've been back and forth with this a little bit and we've been trying to get it going. And, 2021 started differently for me. I've left my job now, so I've got a lot more time on my hands where I can invest in this kind of stuff and actually learn how it works and spend more time doing it. So I thought it'd be great to get you on, mate, because for anyone listening who isn't watching, who doesn't know Dave, we have some striking commonalities in the fact that we are both triple amputees. We're both veterans. We both served abroad. We both were injured abroad. We both been through the rehab system and done a lot of things, not side by side. I was through the system a lot earlier than you, I think. But, in parallel, we've kind of went down the same sort of path and had the same sort of experiences. And that's what I'm going to talk about, mate, because people that follow me on social media, that listen to this podcast before, are probably bored to tears of hearing my story. I know I get bored of telling it sometimes, but I know you're very keen to share your story. I know you're trying to get out there. It's difficult right now, but get on a stage, share it with live audiences. We talked just now. You said you've been sharing it virtually via Zoom and GoToMeeting and all that kind of stuff. So, tell everyone your story, man, and start wherever you want and just talk us through it chronologically.
Yeah. So, as Mark's just said, we are both triple amputees. We both served. We took the same route, as you will. I joined the military in 2006. I joined the 1st Battalion Scots Guards. So they're the tourist attraction in London, what stand outside Buckingham Palace with the red jackets and the big bearskin hats. So while you're doing that job, we just call ourselves tourist attractions because people just go to London to have photos with us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it is like that part of the job were good. I enjoyed it. I lived in London for a year and a half. And while living in London, do you know what I mean? You're always a weekend millionaire as soon as you get paid.
I think that's everyone in the military, mate.
Yeah. So like in London, we were a weekend millionaire that rate. As soon as we got paid, we went out on the weekend. We'd spent our wages by Sunday. So, yeah. But I enjoyed the job. Standing outside Buckingham Palace, St. James's Palace, Tower of London. I got to meet all the royal family. I danced with the Queen while I did that job. So it's something I can tell my kids when they grow up.
Yeah.
That their dad's done this, and the dad's been there with the Queen. A little story. While I was doing it, I was on the Tower of London. I was on the back post, and that post, you've got a road in front of you which is like a mile and a half long. So the tourists can't really see you. You look like a little dot to them. But while I was there, it was absolutely boiling hot one day, and the Queen come out with some orange juice and some biscuits and that, and told me to sit in a little secret garden to my right hand side.
Wow.
Which were nice of her. So I sat in there and I had some orange juice and that. And one of my captains walked around the corner. I worked on my post.
Okay.
And he's going mad. He's walked into this garden and he's gone absolutely nuts, effing and blinding at me. Who the effing hell has told you can sit here? I'm like, he wouldn't let me get a word in, and he's just effing and blind. He's like, you effing tell me who said you can sit here. I'm going to have a word with him. And I went, really? He went, yeah, you tell me. I went, well, the Queen. And he turned around and went, oh, well, he turned around to me, oh, carry on then. Do you know what I mean? He went, carry on.
And she had left by that point?
Yeah, she left. She didn't sit with me. She just told me to go in that garden, have my orange juice and some biscuits and take my bearskin off.
Gotcha.
But when the captain walked around, he was going absolutely mad. But when I told him the Queen told me I could sit here,
he wound it in.
Said, carry on. Do you know what I mean? Like, he shit himself.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I love that kind of job. And you used to have a lot of women writing the numbers down and putting them in your buff belt.
Really?
Like you used to ask. Yeah.
Any men?
So depending, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Depending. But yeah, I used to enjoy it. I used to get a lot of women writing the numbers and putting it in the buff belt and that, and like just saying, ring me.
Happy days.
I never did.
Obviously. I'll tell you what I want to ask you, actually, because it's to settle. I kind of know the answer anyway, but I guess a lot of people that listen aren't. So you joined the army and that attracted you, right? The ceremonial side of stuff. So wearing the bearskin, looking after the palace, the marching and all that kind of stuff. But that isn't all you do, is it? Like, you don't just join the army and do that. There's two sides of it, isn't there? There's that side, the fancy side, the get on camera, do the ceremonial side, and then there's obviously the down in the dirt on your belt buckle, firefights and operations. So for anyone listening, because I didn't know this for a long time, that's not all you do. You don't guard the palace and stay in the UK. You still do warfighting stuff, infantry stuff, right?
Yeah, definitely, and that's when I went to London before I joined the military. Like I used to see them guys stood outside Buckingham Palace and all the rest of it, and I thought to myself, well, they must work for the Queen herself, and they just guard it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But it weren't until I joined the Scottish Guards that I realised when I was joining them that they are military. I didn't think they were.
Okay.
If you know what I mean. But every day is a learning day. You know what I mean? Every day is a learning day.
That's interesting. So when you went, I'm trying to get my head around this. So you saw those guys, you liked what they did, you wanted to do what they did, but you had no idea they were actually an army regiment.
Yeah.
But then you turned up at the career center, and you said, I want to do this. I want to wear the bearskin, do the ceremonial thing. And is that when you found out that, as well as that they
when I turned up at the careers office, it was then I found out they are actually military.
So did that not change your decision, knowing that you would have to go to war or anything?
No, because I've always wanted to join the military, always, and getting to know that they did that and the combat role.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it's a win-win situation for me because I'm doing both.
Right.
So yeah, like, and then plus I found out as well that when I joined the Scots Guards, that my granddad's brother, when he was my age, was in the Scots Guards,
Oh,
and
wow.
he was similar age to me. So I kept it in the family.
And how old were you, mate, when you started?
I was 17, going up to 18.
That's when you went through training, right?
Yeah, that's when I joined. I went through training that year.
And how did you find that?
Training, well, that was just it's weird, really, because it's two sorts of fitness.
Mm-hmm.
Like civilian life, I were pretty fit because I used to play football. I used to run. So I thought I were a fit lad.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I joined the military and I did my military fitness, it's a whole new level,
Yeah.
of fitness. Some days I felt absolutely drained.
Mm-hmm.
That I didn't want to move. I were aching all over. I've never felt that kind of aching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I ran the phone to my parents saying I just want to come home. It's like so hard. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I've got that kind of head where I've got to finish something I start,
Right. Yeah.
and
I think with the
I've
fitness,
all
sorry, I was just going to say that I think with the fitness in the military, it's where it's different to, I guess, your average civilian fitness kind of regime is that it's a lot more aggressive. It's a lot more intense. There's a higher volume of it. So I think if you sat down and calculated how many hours average a day, you're actually, because you don't walk from one place to another either. You run everywhere. You're carrying heavy weights all the time. Big bargains, day sacks. You're doing gym sessions. I don't know what you call them, but we called like the obstacle courses, bottom field. And it is if you're not in the classroom or you're on camp, you're doing that. So I think it's the volume of it, the intensity of it, and whereas that's very different to finishing work, going to the gym for an hour and a half, and then going back and having a warm bath at home, and going at it the next
oh
day.
yeah,
So yeah,
definitely,
I get what you're saying, mate. But it's kind of like the shock of capture, isn't it?
yeah, because it's just like I said, I used to play football when I were like on Civvy Street, but it was the same again. I used to play football on a Sunday, go home, have a shower, get changed, and go to the pub.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was my fitness done for the day,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'd probably do something else a couple of times a week. But in the military, you're doing it like 7 days a week and about
Yeah.
5 times a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
And
remember it well.
it's that what just gets you. Do you know what I mean? Doing so much fizz in one day.
So what kind of got you through the difficult times? Because anyone that's been through military training, if they say they didn't have low days when they wanted to quit and just go back to their cozy life, then they're lying. But on them lowest of the low days, when you're like, do you know what? I've made a mistake here. I don't want to do this for 22 plus years. I'm going home. What got you through those days?
Well, like I said, I've got one of them head where like once I start something, I've got to finish it. But when I was having my low days, I remember when I was in training, one of the sergeants what were there, he was actually from around where I lived,
Okay.
and he do you know where people just see things in you,
Mm-hmm.
like you can do it. I think he's seen something in me, and he pushed me and pushed me and pushed me because he knew I could do it. And having that behind you and like not wanting to let your family down
Mm-hmm.
after you want to show them that you can do it. And when I was joining, I had a lot of people turn around to me and say, what you're joining the military for. You won't do it. You'll leave after a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept thinking of that as well.
Yeah.
Like people saying I can't do it. So I wanted to prove them wrong as well, that I could do it.
I think there's a lot of important bits to pick out of what you just said there, mate. You know, having that man, that sergeant, kind of mentor you and bring out that part in you that he saw that you didn't. You know, that's a hugely important part of, I think, anyone's life at any stage, particularly when you're young, when you're only 17 and you're 18 and you don't have that concrete belief in yourself of what you're capable of because you've never really pushed yourself that far. Having someone like that is a huge help. And I think I kind of had something similar to that. And it really opened my mind up to what I was capable of, because every week and every day that you progress and it gets slightly harder, but you overcome it, you start to think, hold on, I'm pretty capable. You know, my mind is saying, stop, 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 stop. But my body's like only probably halfway to shutting down or stopping, you know? And that, I think that's huge, you know, just having someone to edge you along a little bit, to give you that confidence that perhaps you're lacking. Now, you also said, you said as well, another thing that I think is important is that you didn't want to let your family down. And I find that I found has been a good strategy for a lot of things in my life. I don't mean necessarily not wanting to let my family down, but I mean making it about something other than yourself, a bigger cause, a bigger picture. You know, you think, oh, if I don't do this, this won't happen, which is, you know, saying I want to happen, or this person will get let down, or this person, you know what I mean? You made it about something bigger than yourself. I think that's what is so powerful. And we've both been in these circles in the charity world. You know, it's not about us as benefactors of charitable giving. It's about putting those organizations on a bigger platform for the bigger picture, for the bigger picture, you know? And like I said, that was a big motivator for me. And then you said one other thing, and I forgot what it was now. There was 3 things you said.
And you're having that the guys what were telling me I won't make it.
Right.
I'd be home in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. And again, I think that's a big motivator for anybody. When people say, you know, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's a little bit like a red flag to a ball, isn't it? You know, and I think just getting in your head and imagining the stupid look on their faces when you walk past them with a uniform on, or whatever it is, a gold medal they said you couldn't get, a business they said you couldn't build, just going past that person, you know, having achieved what they said you couldn't, you know, that's the kind of stuff that money can't buy, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah, then that were exactly the same, because when I passed our training, I remember going home because as soon as I passed out of training, some of the guys in different regiments went straight to Afghan, straight after training. Depending on what the regiments wanted them to do, it's what you wanted to do. So when I finished, my regiment put me back in the careers office for 2 weeks, just to let the guys know who want to join the military what training's exactly like, what you'll need to do, and how your head has to be when you go in there. And I did that for 2 weeks. So I remember, because I was in Preston Recruiting Centre, I went into the shopping centre and I was walking around in my combats, and I remember passing one of the guys who said I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I just turned around, I shouted his name, and he turned around and he was like confused because he didn't recognise me in combats with my berry on. And when he turned around and he seen me, he was like, "Shit."
Right.
I said, "Well, you said I couldn't do it. Look at me, I'm here."
Yeah. And what was he doing with his life at that point?
He was working in a pub
Okay.
behind a bar.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a great job, but
Yeah.
I bet you felt 10 feet tall compared to him.
Yeah, definitely. Just showing. I didn't really have to say anything. He knew as soon as he seen me that I'd gone through training, I passed it, and I just made him eat his words. You know what I mean?
Do you know what, something that always used to get me through it when I was going through training, and something that I've used in my life ever since then, was I don't know how I just naturally managed to do it, but I would always project forward and imagine, okay, I've quit now. I'm sat on the train. I'm about to go home, and I could potentially bump into that guy who said that I wasn't going to make it. And I imagine the way I'd feel if I bumped into him and they turned around and went, "See, dickhead, I told you couldn't do it." And that feeling,
Yeah.
even though I hadn't quit, that the thought of that feeling was enough to drag me out of it and go, well, I'm not ever going to feel like that. Never.
That's what I thought as well. That's exactly what I thought as well.
So fast forward a little bit. So you've done all this. You deployed to Afghanistan quite quickly, didn't you?
So I went over in 2010.
So quite soon after you finished your training, you were already out there
Yeah.
at the pointy end of the spear.
Yeah.
So talk us through that a little bit then. The train, when you got told you were going, the training, your headspace, and then hitting the ground.
Yeah. So getting told we were going out to Afghanistan. Every soldier in the military knows they'll have to go somewhere once or twice in their life. But to get told that quick was a bit of a shock. And we got given our roles when we were out there. And you can back me up on this as well, Mark, that the military, they'll give you a job to do and then it'll change 10 minutes after.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we got given our role out in Afghanistan, what we were doing, we got told everything. So we started doing our training for that. And then 3-4 days later, it was like, oh no, we're not going there anymore. We're not doing this.
Okay.
We're doing this. So we're like, right. So we got appointed. We were meant to be working with the SAS, helping them out over in Afghanistan. So we met up with loads of SAS guys, and we were training together. And I'll tell you something, when I was doing that training, I realised how nuts the SAS lads are.
Yeah, they're a different breed,
they are like off their heads.
Mm-hmm.
We were on the ranges, we're doing our weapon drills. So usually us, when we were on the ranges, we'd have our line and we couldn't go past that line while firing.
Right.
The SAS lads, we've got two guys walking on the range. So one's walking forwards, the other guy's got his back to him. So he's protecting the back, the other guy's protecting the front. And the target pops up, the front guy fires, and then he turns around and goes, right, stoppage. So the guy who's got his back to him has to swing the rifle over his head.
Right.
No helmet on, no nothing.
Yep.
Swing the rifle over his head and then fire on top of his head at the target. And just mad stuff like that. No, I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
It was nuts. So we did all our training with the SAS, and then our job changed again.
Okay, so what were you doing now then?
Here we go. So we ended up going to Nadia Ali.
Mm-hmm.
We were just like routine foot patrols, going around the little village, and just protecting that and trying to work the Taliban out of that, get them away from there.
Okay.
That one stuck. So that's what we did while we were out there. But it was building up to leaving the UK to fly out to Afghan. Doing all your training, all your first aid training. It were all intense training.
Yeah.
All intense. Doing like courses if you're on a course, like Pashto course and all that lot.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I enjoyed the training up to it. It was really hard work, but then we got that like week's leave before we were going.
Mm-hmm.
So we got our week's leave, went home, spent time with friends and family, and I was saying, like, a lot of guys were talking to me saying, "Oh, are you like, how are you feeling? How are you feeling?" And if anyone turns around and says, "Yeah, I'm feeling fine, not a problem,"
Mm-hmm.
like they're lying, because there's always something going on inside your body, knowing that you are going to a war zone,
Right.
and something could happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that were always inside me, but I didn't want to tell my mates and everything like, yeah, I'm shitting myself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. The worst bit were saying bye to your family when you were going back to your camp, knowing that this might be the last time you ever see them.
Yeah.
I always had that going around in my head. So yeah, I said my goodbyes to my family and that. Got on the train back to Catterick. Got back to Catterick, and we got told it's been delayed for another week.
Welcome to the military.
I know, do you know what I mean? It's been delayed
Mm-hmm.
for another week. So yeah, that's fine. I spent most of my time in camp. I didn't go home because I didn't want to relive what I've just left.
Yep.
I've said my goodbyes. I've said this. I've said that. So I wanted to stay in camp and just boom. There you go. I don't even think I phoned my family back home just to say it's been delayed. I think I just left that bit there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because you're used to that, the hurry up and wait thing, the change of detail in the military, but your family aren't. And that could be an emotional roller coaster. They've said their goodbyes, and then you ring up and go, actually, I've got another week now. And so then that relief sets in. But then, and we all know what it's like when you're living out of a bag or whatever in the military, or you live on camp, those 2 days before you go back, you get the blues. So then you've got to redo that again. But it's not just you, it's they're going through that as well. So yeah, I see why you did that and where you're coming from. It's probably a better thing all round, just to stay stum and crack on.
So I kept stum, didn't say anything, and then we were traveling out on the Sunday night. We were traveling, so I stopped all week in camp, and Sunday morning come. We've all turned up, like, combat's on ready, you get all your bags packed, only to find out that the regiment had phoned everybody's family to invite them to camp.
As you were
To come
leaving?
in. Yeah.
That's a bit strange.
I know. So we were there, and everyone just started turning up. Everyone's parents, girlfriends, wives, and everything like that. So they spent the day with us in camp. I was showing them around camp. Took them in the naffy and that. And then it got to that time. They stayed with us up until we all got on the coach and we all set off.
That's weird.
It is. Like I thought it were, but yeah, like my family had turned up, my mum, my dad, my grandma had turned up. The only good thing about my grandma turning up is she brought a big bag of like chocolate in, big bag of chocolate for my coach journey to Bride's Norton, big bag of chocolate,
right.
everything, cream, eggs, Mars bars, the lot, mate. So my grandma brought me loads of morale for while we're on the coach.
Good old grandma.
And it were weird. But yeah, I got on the coach. My family are there on the drill square. Everyone's family just there while we all set off. And as soon as we set off, the family's got in cars and they went back home. So we were on our way to Bride's Norton, got to Bride's Norton, and I think our flight was something like 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
So we were waiting around Bride's Norton for about 5 hours, something like that. And that would it's just boring, you know what I mean? It's like being sat in an airport.
Yep.
Waiting. And like when you sit doing nothing, things are going through your head over and over again, especially sat in an airport waiting to go to Afghan. A lot of things are going around in your head. But you just had to like try and find things to do, keep yourself busy while you're on the airport, and just keep entertained. So I remember just watching films and stuff like that, or playing on my phone or something like that on there, just trying to take my mind off things. And it was just weird.
Yeah, you become pretty good at that in the military, don't you? Because you always sat around in some shithole waiting for something to happen. You know, I remember the days, this is going to make me sound really old, but before we really had phones. And I think that they had just started attaching DVD players to laptops. So whoever had a laptop and a big CD wallet full of DVDs was like the hero for that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you get used to that stuff, don't you? It is boring, but I guess in a way it's kind of beneficial because you learn how to occupy your mind,
your brain, your mind,
and to try and stay positive.
So yeah, we were just waiting around, and then we got on flight, and we got to Camp Bastion, and we got off the flight, and it was then everything just went bang. I'm here.
Yeah,
this is really happening. And then they flew us out. They flew us out to our like VCPs and our wherever we were all going. So I turned up at my VCP, went in, and we literally had 2 arsehole containers. They were our beds, so you put your beds up in there, and then there were a gap in the middle of both containers. And what we did, we thought, well, what can we do to try and make this more homely? So we put like a sheet over the top for like a roof. We dropped some down the front. We drew windows on either side, like flower pots on the windowsill. We cut a door. We cut a door in it. We cut a door in it to walk through. You walked in. We made our own like settee and armchair out of sandbags. We had our table set up with like our rations and our bottles of water and that. We made like a little fridge out of the Hessian wall, so we could keep our water cool. And I remember one of the lads he were really good at drawing, and like we had a 10-man ration box, an empty 10-man ration box. So he ripped the top bits off, and he had the bottom bit, and he drew like a Sony TV on it. So the outline of a Sony TV,
Right.
and he drew in the middle like Family Guy sat on settee,
Really?
and we pinned that up on the wall, so like we're watching TV, and it's just same like made our own gym stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like a weight bench with sandbags, and then we had the scaffolding bar with sandbags on either side for your weights.
Yeah.
And then we knocked a scaffolding bar into the SEM wall for your chin-up bar, doing all that. So we just made it as homely as we could to feel relaxed and at ease. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's another thing that you get good at in the military is, you deploy to some shithole area and you become like Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen. You start becoming an integrated designer and using sandbags for curtains and, all these crazy, like you say, making chairs and sofas out of bits of whatever's lying around and makeshift gyms. And, because you do have a lot of time as well when you are deployed, if you're not patrolling, firefighting, whatever it is, you've got a lot of downtime just to, try and kill the time, really.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
That's where you worked from, the VCP.
Yeah. So we were at a vehicle checkpoint. Yeah, we was with the Afghan National Army.
Mm-hmm.
So we were with a few of them. There was at the opposite side, like our VCP were pretty decent size. So they were over at one side and we were at the other. We were working together, and it would just like we're not being out there before. I've not seen it before, but it were nuts how they live. So I went outside. Like me and one of theirs were going outside the wall to stand on the checkpoint, and I was keeping a watch out. And I turned around to have a look, see what he was doing, and he was eating this bag of weed.
Yeah.
He was just eating, and I'm like, "What are you doing, man?"
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what they do.
Yeah, it's a different world.
Just eating it. It's just completely different. But yeah, like your patrols out there. Every time you went out on patrol, like your ass were always 5p, 50p.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what's going to happen. You don't know when the firefight's going to hit you. It was just hard sometimes.
It's funny, isn't it? Because you become. I can see why some people struggle mentally with stuff because you're hyper vigilant for the whole tour. I always remember leaving the base that we were working from, and you got to imagine there's this big Hesco barrier wall, and then there's a door. Now that door is like a sniper's dream because they know you're going to be there, like static and so literally every time it's your turn, you're like 1, 2, 3, and you run out the door. You're hard targeting left to right, just never knowing whether a sniper bullet's going to come winging your way or you're going to run and stand on an IED, and your senses are heightened all the time.
Yeah, and your brain works in different ways. Because I remember being in our VCP. We were chilling out. We weren't going on patrol that day. We were chilling out, and I remember getting in. I took my mankini out with me, and I thought, right, stick my mankini on, and I'll chill out in the sun. So I had my boots on, my mankini on, and my military cap, and I just sat there getting a suntan. And then next thing, we ended up getting into a firefight.
Yeah.
All rounds pinging over, and I'm like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I ran back into my bed space. Didn't have time to put my trousers on or anything like that. So I shoved my body armor on, my helmet on, got my weapon. I jumped on top of SCM wall, set up my LMG, and I'm there firing away. My ass hanging out at the back of me, like body armor, with my mankini going through the middle of it. So there's
nice.
There's times out there to have a laugh and that, you know what I mean? But there's like you've got to be on the ball as well when something happens.
Absolutely, mate. Now, if you don't mind, mate, just talk us through, the day that you were injured. It was on a foot patrol.
Yeah, we were on a foot patrol. We were on a 5th 53-man foot patrol. So we went out. We patrolled. We went out early hours at morning. I think we set off at about 2:30 in the morning. 53 of us went out patrolling all the way around the villages, and we were checking compounds as well, because we've had inklings that some compounds have been making explosives in there. So we've gone in there and checked a few of them. Nothing really going on. So we're carrying on, and we were walking up like a back alley type thing, if you will. Walking up this back alley, and you've got all the locals popping their heads over the wall.
Okay.
And I'm like, what they're looking at?
Yeah.
What's happening here? And there were, I remember a dog with a, always barking at us, everything like that. So me being an LMG gunner, I had a pistol on my leg. So I pulled the pistol and I rolled it to the dog, just in case it went through anyone.
Okay.
Because you don't know what's going to happen. So I'm holding it at the dog. The dog, it ran off, and then we got to the top of that back alley type thing, and it was where one of our mastiffs got blew up a few days before.
Right.
And the only thing what were there was one of the wheels, and you knew straight away that something's been set up with that wheel. So if we tried moving anything, or something might go bang. So we left that alone. We carried on. And as we were walking through this poppy field, the interpreter were getting messages over the radio, like the Taliban have got us surrounded. We've nowhere to go. And everything going through my head, then thinking, oh shit, here we go. But they were just watching us. They were surrounding us, but watching where we were going. And just to get out of the way, we were getting into a stream, and we've all got in it. Out with the third to last man out of 53 people.
Okay.
So out with the 50th guy, we've all got in this stream. The IED was on my right hand side, just on the edge of the water and the soil.
Right.
It was just on the edge. And I've got in, I've passed it, and then my mate were getting in. He slipped.
Saw it?
I saw it, yeah.
Okay.
I saw it. It was there, and my mate slipped behind me, and I've turned around to go and help him.
Right.
And as I've turned around, it's just gone bang.
That same IED?
Same IED had just gone bang.
Okay.
I don't know whether I stepped on it and detonated it, or it were like they detonated it. Still not 100% sure about that, but the only thing I know is that I was conscious through it all, but when it first went bang, because I turned and I rolled in my LMG with my arm underneath it, to go and help my mate with this hand to go and pick him up. As I've turned around, it's gone bang, and my LMG's lifted.
Yeah.
Smashed me in the face. But you don't know how fast that would have hit from there to there with the impact. You don't know. It could have been 60 to 80 mile an hour pressure.
Yeah,
you know what
absolutely.
I mean? So that hit me in the face, and then it was just like being hit in the football with your face. When it hits you square in the face, and you have that like little blackout moment, and then you're all right. That's what it was like. But I woke up in the water.
Okay, so I was going to ask that. Did you go underwater or what?
Yeah, so it's like the IED's lifted me about 10 foot in the air, and I've landed back first in the water, so all the water's come over the top of me. And because I didn't know exactly what had happened, I'm trying to get my head above water, like pushing the water away, and I couldn't do it.
Because you
drowning. Because I've lost my arm. I couldn't get my head above water, and I'm like, the water's going down my throat. I'm drowning. But the guys have come over, and one more. People what don't think your life flashes before your eyes, it does. It does. Mine flashed before my eyes. They dragged me out of the water. They sat me on the side, and they said, "Dave, do not fucking look down." I'm like, "What?" They went, "Do not fucking look down." I'm like, oh. I'm spitting teeth out. My jaw's broke. I had like loads of shit in my mouth as well, like dust and mud, and it was just horrible. All my lips were split. I cut my chin open, and it was just like, I don't know.
What was kind of going through your mind there?
My life's over. Like that is what we're going through my mind. I thought, right, that's it. I'm gone. I'm gone. But they're saying don't look down. But I had to see what had gone on. I had to see what had happened. So I looked down at my legs. And all I seen was my shin bones.
Yeah, poking out.
Yeah, so all my calf had gone, my foot had gone. All what were there were my shin bones.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh shit, like I've lost both legs. And the medic there, he was getting the tourniquets around my leg as fast as he could. And as he was tightening the tourniquets, like I was in no pain because of all the adrenaline and everything like that going through your body. I was in no pain. The only bit of pain I felt was them tightening them tourniquets to my leg.
Yeah. Yep.
I felt that, and as they tightened it, my shin bone shot off.
Right.
Like two bullets coming out of a gun because of the pressure.
Okay.
And I seen that. I seen my shin bone like literally fly off my leg and just miss my medic's head by like that much. It was just like so unreal. And as they were doing that, I got like pins and needles in my arm.
Like really intense pins and needles, isn't it?
Huh?
It's like pins and needles, but like super intense, throbbing, numbness, uncomfortableness, but not painful.
Yeah. It's like say you trap your fingers in a car door, but like 100 times worse.
Yeah, I remember.
So I felt like pins and needles and shooting pains, and I like lifted my arm, and my arm was still there, but it was hanging on by its tendons. And the skin had separated from the hand.
Yeah.
So the skin had separated from the hand. My hand, all I could see was my hand with the bone, and it was just dangling off. And I looked at it, and I just went, "Oh, I've lost that. I've lost my arm." And I remember giving myself a high five and watching it wobble. Just to like see you later. Nice knowing you. You know what I mean? So
mate,
I
always try to explain this to people, like, because I think when you tell these kind of stories, people try and put themselves in your situation, and it is such a surreal, weird feeling when you're there, right? And you're looking around at stuff and you're like, this ain't fucking real. What am I looking at here? And your
Yeah,
brain doesn't quite compute it. And you're like, well, I should be in a lot of pain, but I'm not. I'm very
yeah.
uncomfortable. My legs are throbbing, my arms tingling like really bad, but I should be screaming in pain. And why did my shin bone just fly off? I can't make sense of what just happened. What I've just seen, it doesn't make
But
any sense.
it's just like you just said. We should have been led there, screaming and shouting and
Hmm.
doing what we do. But just think, before we joined the military and got a paper cut,
Yeah. No,
we were we were
I, ta-
screaming like,
I tell you what it is, mate. Like, if you were stood in front of me now and I said, Dave, I'm going to punch you in the face, the anticipation adds to the pain. Whereas if you
yeah,
had no idea and I just came up behind you and went whack, it would hurt, but it wouldn't hurt as much as if you anticipated it. Do you know what I
no,
mean? Like with a paper
yeah,
cut. That's why I think, as well as all the body's, the adrenaline release, the endorphins, whatever the chemicals that get released to combat the pain, that whole combination of stuff, just
yeah.
it's incredible that how your body deals with it.
Oh, I know. Like it was. I thought like when you're led there and you're not in pain, you're like, what is going on? You know what I mean?
Mm,
What is actually going on? I should be screaming, like you just said. I should be screaming now.
yeah, and you kind of
Um,
know it's real, but your brain's like, what the fuck am I looking at? I don't understand what I'm looking
yeah,
at. Why is my shin bone has just popped off and flown out my medic, but that doesn't make any sense. So why have I just seen it? And it's bizarre, like the thoughts that go through your head. And like you say,
yeah,
I remember just laying in the sun with pretending I was on the beach with the heat beating down on my face, just like,
mm,
right, I'm going to fall asleep now, like I would if I was sunbathing in Spain, but this time I'm not going to wake up.
yeah.
It's
Well, I was just cracking the jokes there
uh-huh.
and then. You know what I mean? Just
Mm-hmm.
like all the guys are turning around to me. Oh, are you all right? Are you all right? Are you all right? I said, yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. Yeah, but yeah. I said, yeah, I'm all right. But my fucking mum and dad are not going to be happy about this. That's what I said. That is what I said, right? And it just, even when you say, my mum and dad are not going to be happy about this, it still doesn't register what's gone on.
No, no.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm like having my sips of water. I'm trying to get all the grit and dirt out of my mouth. I'm still spitting teeth out. And they put me on the stretcher. And I remember turning around to them going, right, guys, see you later. I'm going home. See you in another 3.5 months. I'm going to a
Mm-hmm.
pub. Stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the two of my mates were putting me on the flight back to Bastion. And like, in case people know, the back of the flight is angled like that, so you can
Mm-hmm.
walk up it. So the guys are carrying me up. One of my mates slips and drops me.
Cheers, mate.
And I turned around to him. I said, "Whoa!" I said, "Do you not think I've been fucking injured enough? You just decide to drop me." And he's like, So he picked me up, put me on. And as soon as you get put on the back of that flight, even looking around that flight, it's so unreal. It's like
Yeah.
a hospital on the back of a flight,
Mm-hmm.
on the back of a plane, and all the staff, well, the medics and everything, what are on that flight, they are at your beck and call. They are at your side, trying to sort you out. They're straight on you.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're asking you, have you had morphine? I'm like, no, I didn't have morphine. I wasn't in any pain. But they put me to sleep. They did what they had to do on the flight. And I woke up as I landed in Bastion.
Okay.
They were taking me into theatre. I woke up outside. They were talking to me, and I turned around to them because at the time I was smoking at the time. And I said, "Is it possible I can have a cigarette before I go in?" because it might be my last one.
Wow.
It might be my last one. So can I have a cigarette before I go in? They went, no, I can't do it. Just took me straight in, put me back to sleep, did what they did. And from there, I woke up with them putting me to sleep out like in Bastion. I woke up in Selly Oak in Birmingham.
So Selly Oak was still around when you were hit, yeah? Because I know it got ripped down a couple of years after I left.
It got took down. Well, I was in Selly Oak for 2 weeks, and then they transferred us from there to the new QE.
Oh, okay.
And then it got ripped down a couple of years ago because they've built houses on there now.
They've done that now, have they?
Yeah. Because I don't live far from that now.
Okay.
So
let's make some comparisons. Because I did 6 weeks in Selly Oak, because the QE wasn't built then. So you did 2 weeks in Selly Oak. How long did you do in the QE?
I did 2 weeks in Selly Oak, a week in the QE, and then I was discharged.
To Headley Court or back home?
Back home for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to Headley Court.
So this is the interesting part for me, because this is where I think this part of it, when you wake up in hospital and you're gradually weaned off the medication and you can make sense of what's going on and you understand the extent of your injuries and, you start trying to wrap your head around it. What kind of things are going through your mind at that stage?
Well, when I were at home, I had some time with friends and family and guys coming to see me and talk to me and that. And then the day I was going to Headley Court, things were going through my mind like, what's it going to be like? What we're going to be doing? Just all that stuff, and what injuries am I going to see at Headley Court?
Okay.
And I turned up, and who did I see? Who was the first guy I seen? I forgot his name now, but turned up and I seen someone with both the legs missing. I think it was Craig. Remember Craig? Yeah.
With his nose was missing and everything as well.
Yeah, nose were missing and everything like that. And I thought, shit. And it was true what someone said to me. No matter what injuries you get, there's always someone worse than what you are. Do
you know what, mate? I had a very similar experience. So when I got to Headley Court, I was put in a single man room behind the nurse's station because I was classed as high dependency. And on the first day, I was getting wheeled behind the nurse's station. So there's room 1, room 2, room 3, room 4. I'm room 4. So I've got to go past the other 3 to get there. And in room 2 was a kid called Stephen Vouse. And Stephen was 19 and I think a grenade went off by his head. And he had a huge portion of his skull missing. And he would be up all night screaming in pain. He had to be craned in and out of his bed. So the first day I turned up to rehab, I saw that and I thought, shit, I've got it pretty easy, if I'm honest, compared to this guy. So you're right, yeah.
That's the same, you know what I mean? It's like there's always someone worse than what you are. And when I got there, I thought it would have been, don't get me wrong, when I was at home for that 2 weeks, I watched a couple of military films and everything like that. And I'd seen the Americans on this film chilling out at the rehab center and watching TV and everything like that. I turned up, I got my program. Circuit's 7:30 in the morning. I'm like, what? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've just been blown up. Lost both my legs and my right arm.
I want to
I've come
relax
to
for a
Headley
bit.
Court and I'm getting a piece of paper with my program on, and I've got circuits at 7:30 in the morning. I'm like, what's all that about?
I know you want a bit of downtime, don't you? And they're throwing you straight back into the Monday morning phys routine.
And they were straight at you as well with the shaving and that. You're still in the military, so you shave.
Oh, I know, I remember it, and it was difficult.
I
So,
that.
were you? So you've same as me. You've lost your right arm.
Yeah.
But were you right-handed before?
Yeah.
Right. So this is one of the smaller things that a lot of people overlook: learning to brush your teeth, to shave, to do anything with your left hand.
That's that because when they tried getting me shaving at Headley Court, I turned around to him, I ain't going nowhere near my face with a blade. I said, I used to be right-handed. I said, I'm not doing it with my left hand. I said, I'll end up cutting my throat. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's tricky.
And then one of the nurses had gone somewhere and they come back with an electric shaver. I'm like,
okay. They got you. They got
you. They've done me there. But yeah, like learning to write and doing everything else with my non-dominant arm. At first, I was struggling a lot with writing and just doing other stuff. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? But it's that practice makes perfect.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's happened. You've got to live with it. So use it.
Yeah. I mean, you've got no other choice. You have to.
Yeah. And I've always said from day one that being a triple amputee is like being a jigsaw puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a jigsaw. You've done this jigsaw, and you're one piece missing.
Right.
Where that one piece?
Mm-hmm.
So when I were at home, like making a brew, the cupboard was too high to get a cup.
Okay.
And I'm in my wheelchair, and it's like, how from down here do I get that cup from there?
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, stand up in your wheelchair, sit on the kitchen side, get your cup, put it down, get back in your chair, and away you go. So that's how I did it. Like being a triple amputee is like a jigsaw puzzle. You've got your puzzle, and we're the missing piece. We've got to put that piece together.
Yeah, you got to figure everything out from scratch.
Yeah.
So
I'm
just going to say, mate, where my fascination lies with people is in like their thought process and their mindset, right? So you've come out of hospital and you've had a couple of weeks at least to get your head round life, right? And the fact that you've had these injuries and that's never going to change. You know, you then start looking to the future and thinking, okay, what's available? Can I get legs? Can I get an arm? Am I going to need a wheelchair? Do I adapt the car, adapt the house, blah, 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 blah. And then you get to rehab because that's where the hard work starts, when you eventually get the legs and you start learning to walk. But and I'm always so honest about this when I tell people, I don't put on any alpha male macho bravado. You know, it was fucking hard, mate. Like the first time I walked parallel bars, I did one length up, one length down, and I was fucked. And I thought, hang on, I'm like one of the fittest blokes I know, and I can't even walk 10 meters.
It's hard. It is hard. But it's like, as you say, getting your legs and getting your arms. Like they come and they send a guy out to the hospital. I don't know if you had it, but when I was in the hospital, a guy come from the prosthetic centre from Headley Court to have a look at your injuries and what they'll need for when you get there.
Mm-hmm.
And he turned up and you were talking to me. You were looking at my injuries, and he turned around to me and he said, "How tall was you before this happened?" And I went 7 foot. And it's like he just turned around, it was like F off, but in a nice way, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
know you were.
Yeah.
But I was 6'1". I was 6'1" before I got injured.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to get that height back. That's what I wanted.
Okay.
But it's the same. It's the same with anyone. I got on my stubbies, same as everyone else does, building them up. That was hard, working their muscles and everything like that. What you've not used for, like, what were it? 3, 4, 5. It was 7 weeks after my injury that I got up and walking on stubbies, and it was like you said. I'd only walk like 5 minutes and I'd be absolutely blowing. I'd have to take them off and just rest because you're not used to it.
Right.
But the more I got used to it, the happier I was.
Yeah, it's just, I was just trying to improve. I remember the first time doing it thinking, there is no way that I can live the rest of my life like this. If this is how hard it is to walk a couple meters, there's no way. But then day by day, you make these small incremental improvements, 1%, 2%, 3%, and it starts to become easier. And what was hard on Monday, by Friday, it's not easy, but it's easier. And then as the weeks roll past, the months roll past, everything becomes easier, more normal. And then, you cross that line. You're like, actually, I see where this is going now. If I just keep putting the effort in and crossing these thresholds, I'm going to be able to regain my independence in my life again.
Definitely. And did you get that feeling when you went from stubbies to like your full size legs, like you're on top of a big tower looking down because you've not been that height for however long you were?
Mate, I'll tell you what, because I was hit so early on, and we can talk about this offline actually, because I'm just curious, but none of this stuff that you went through was in place when I did it, because I had to do it the first time. So stubbies weren't even a thing until I came back from America and told them about stubbies. I went straight from a wheelchair to full length prosthetics. And absolutely what you said, I stood up. It does something to your blood pressure, I think, being either laying down or in the chair for so long, but you stand up straight, all your organs then stretch out, and your head you just go lightheaded as hell. And I remember every step I took, shit in my pants that I was going to fall over because I was still so raw and sore and tender. I thought if I hit the deck now, I'm just gonna. That's it. I'll probably die because it was just so painful.
It's that counterbalance as well, because like your legs, your proper legs balance you out as a human. Once you lose them, you're top heavy.
Right.
So if you, with me, I were a big guy anyway. So I've got on my legs, and if I had to just put my head a bit forward when I run my full size legs, I'd go.
It is a big head, though.
Yeah, I've got a big head, but like at the moment, it's on upside down, and I've got a massive forehead.
I get you, though, mate.
It is just it's weird because I went back up to 6'1", and that counterbalance would just this is not happening. This is not happening at all. So I went down to, I think I've gone down to 5'11" or 5'12", and it's just a lot easier walking shorter than it is being taller.
Yeah. And even when you do build up your core stability, the strength in your glutes, your lower back, your hip, and you're used to it, and you run around every day on prosthetics, it's still, if you're too tall, getting up from the floor is harder. Getting out of a car is harder. Getting off a sofa is harder, because there's like I guess like an invisible hinge point, like with your hips. And there's an ideal height where it makes it just manageable to get up off the floor, out of a car. Whereas if your lower legs are too long and your arm's not going to get any longer, you can't extend your real arm. It just makes everything worse. That's why I came down to 5'8" from 6'2".
But it's that thing as well with your legs, because what I've seen, because when I'm sat down now, like literally my stumps are like flat on the chair.
Right.
But if you were taller, the metal bar gets extended. Your stump will be like that.
Yeah.
Because your legs are kicking up, so your legs will be like that, and having to stand up from that position to get your legs like that again, it's a lot harder than you think.
Yeah. And that was a difficult thing, aesthetically, to go from 6'2" to 5'8". I hated stubbies in the beginning, but they're so good for function, and I love them now. I love them, but I hated them, and I hated the way I looked in the beginning. I needed a height that made me, because I was quite big as well. I didn't want to look short and stocky, but I didn't want to look tall and skinny either. So it took
like a little fat Oompa Loompa.
Yeah, mate, I don't know if you ever remember, but when I was a kid, when He-Man was a cartoon, there was this little man and he had springs for legs in He-Man. And he had this little square metal helmet on and he used to do a flying headbutt everyone. But he was like 4 foot, but massive, 4 foot tall, 4 foot wide. And it reminded me of that when I had stubbies on. You know what I mean? Little cartoon character. But yeah, I mean, what was your lowest point when you were learning to walk again? And how did you get out of that?
Well, I've gone through like I went through quite a lot actually when I happened, because I turned to the drink.
Okay.
I turned to the drink, and I was like borderline alcoholic, because I was just drinking all the time. Because what I was thinking was, that's it, my life's over. I'm stuck in a chair for the rest of my life. I'm not going to do anything with one arm. I can't do this. I can't do that. So I turned to the drink, and then I got mixed up within the wrong people, and I started doing drugs, which I'm not happy with. But at the time, it was my getaway.
Yeah,
it was my happy place. And it weren't until I remember going to, from Headley Court, we went to a weekend away at Stoke Mandeville, just doing some games and stuff like that, seeing what you can and can't do. I went to the powerlifting. Yeah, I was benching 75 kg on one arm, so I was pretty strong. But then I found out that I couldn't do that as a Paralympic Games because they don't do nothing one arm. They don't do a one arm bench press or anything like that.
I know.
So I went over to the discus and shot put circle, and I threw my discus, I threw my shot put, and the coach, what were there, turned around and said, "Have you done this before?" And I said, "Only at school, not done it since." And she went, "Well, you have got a talent. You've got a talent. You could go far with this." And I thought, it's that thing going through my head again. It's like, is she telling me that because I'm an ex-soldier and I've just been injured? Is she trying to make me feel better than what I do? I didn't really listen to her. I went back home with doing the drink and that again, and then I went over to America with Battleback. Remember Battleback from
Yep.
I went over to America. It was same again, just doing the Paralympic Games with the Americans and everything, the American injured. And I went to, I threw the discus, I threw the shot put, did all right at that. And then I threw discus and I broke the American record for my category.
Nice. Okay.
But because I wasn't classified, they couldn't give me the distance because of my
oh, really?
I wasn't classified.
Okay.
So it was that what I knew I did it, everyone else knew I did it. Yeah. And I thought, if I can do that without any training, what can I do with training? So from that day, I just turned around to myself, right, that's it. I'm not drinking, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. I'm going to try and focus on this. And that's what I did. It was sport what got me out of my dark times, my drinking
Yeah.
and the drugs and that. And I took it to a whole new level. I took it to where I went like.
I think a lot of people. Do you know? I don't know. You probably had the same experience, and so have probably a lot of lads and girls that have been through Headley. But it used to really piss me off, right? When I would meet someone new and they'd introduce themselves, and I don't know if they were just awkward or what, but they would say, "So when are you starting training for the Paralympics, Mark?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Is that like a prerequisite of being disabled? Do I have to be a Paralympian?" And it used to really piss me off because I used to, and I did. I know loads of people dive into sport. You're like to Joe Townsend who just killed it straight out the box, and what you've achieved, and all those other guys that we know from Invictus, which we'll talk about in a minute. But it just wasn't a thing for me. I had other goals like being wheelchair free, and it used to really, really irk me when they'd go, "So are you training for the Paralympics, Mark?" And they were like, "I'm not. I don't want to." But then people
Yeah,
would
yeah.
they'd almost take it like, "Oh, okay, he's one of the angry ones. He's one of the ones that's given up because he doesn't want to do sport." And I'm like, "No, dude, I've just got different fucking goals. I just want to do other things." But yeah, I mean, it's
I did get that. I did get that, especially when I went home. Especially when I went home, and all my civvy mates and everything like that, bro. Like, you need to go for Paralympics. You need to do this. You need to. I'm
I
like,
love it. I love it.
you know what I mean? What? Because like at the time, like I was drinking, I was doing the drugs, and they were like, you need to go for Paralympics. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to. I'm like, I don't want to. It's not my thing. But when I found it and I wanted to do it, that's when I thought, right, because do you know what I mean? I used to play football, I used to box beforehand,
Right.
and for me, it was finding two sports I loved as much as them two to take that place. And straight away, from when I didn't want to when I first got injured because I didn't know what my life would bring, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But it was sport what got me out of it, and discs and shot put are the sports that I love, and they've got me to where I am. But
did you ever because I kind of struggle with it a bit, right? And it was purely like ego, because before I got injured, I used to fight competitively in full contact kickboxing, Muay Thai. I boxed in the Marines. So I used to do all this stuff where I thought, oh, that makes me look like a tough guy. Do you know what I mean? And then when they're like, oh, do you want to do some adaptive swimming? I'm like, no, I'm not. Well, that's for disabled people. Piss off. Do you know what I mean? And it was hard. That's probably why it took me so long. It just took me a long time for my ego to go, actually, Mark, do you know what I mean? It's not the way you're looking at it wrong.
yeah,
You need to kind of flip your mindset. Did you go for anything like that? Obviously, having boxed before and played football, surrounded by men, banter, pushing, shoving, swearing, spitting, and then, oh, do you want to sit on this table and throw a discus? Do you know what I mean?
It was same again, like football and stuff like that. Playing football and then like going for a pint after.
And being a soldier, mate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Being an alpha male.
But you want me when I first started, like you want me to sit on that bit of metal and throw a discus.
Yeah.
Almost
like it's insulting you. Do you know what I mean?
I'm like, nah, that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. Last time I did that, we were at school. You know what I mean? I said, I've grown up since then.
Yeah.
Grown up since then. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit there and just like throw a discus or throw a shot put. But when I'd seen what I can do with it,
yeah,
I was like, that's it, that's me.
Yeah, because there's a focus, a purpose, a direction, something that you can build on, where you can grow as an individual. And if you're that good straight out of the box, then you can go and dominate. Do you know what I mean? And start to feel the way you felt prior to injury. For doing something what takes blood, sweat, tears, sacrifice, discipline, hard work, and dedication.
So that's what got me out of that dark hole. You know what I mean? Like So my story, that bit of my story, is exactly the same as Tyson Fury's.
Oh, really?
But like he like because he did his boxing, got to where he wanted to be, couldn't go any like didn't want to go any further, so he turned to the drink, he turned to the drugs, he was doing all that, and then he trained again and went back into boxing,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's getting like millions and millions of pounds telling his talks.
Is that what you're trying to do as well?
I did it first. I did it first.
All right, all right.
And
You got to take a few more punches to the face first, yet, though.
I'm going to go knock on his door. He only lives in Morecambe. I'm going to knock on his door and have a word with him. But yeah, like I didn't think I'd get out of that dark hole, but sport got me out of there, and I'm like really thankful for it. I really am.
And now, discus and shot put, as we both know, were on the list for Invictus. So tell us a little bit about that. What was Canada your first Invictus in 2017?
Canada were my first Invictus.
Yeah.
I'd gone for more. But I didn't get selected.
Okay.
I never got selected, so I turned around to my wife when I think it was what were the one before Canada? Florida, weren't it?
Mm-hmm.
I'd gone for that one. Didn't get selected, and I turned around to my wife and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I can't put blood, sweat, and tears into this and like not get nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I got the email saying I've not been selected, I was literally like, with all the hard work I put in, I was literally like in tears, thinking I've done that much work and I've not got nowhere. I said I'm not doing it again. I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But the emails come through again to apply. I didn't know that they come through, but Becky had applied for me.
Okay.
So she sent mine off for Canada, right? And it come through. Oh, like you've been accepted to come on to the trials for the Invictus Games. I went, what's this? I said, I ain't filled nothing out. And she went, I've done it because I know you can do it.
Did you get mad with that?
I got mad because I told her I didn't want to do it again.
Uh-huh.
But I thought to myself, she believes in me. She knows I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give it another go. So I went for it. I did what I had to do. And yeah, I would literally, where'd we been? We were driving in the car after it all. I'd done all the whole thing, and we were driving somewhere in the car. I was driving. It was the day the emails were coming out, whether you've been selected or not.
Okay.
I'm driving along, one-handed. You know what I mean? One hand on my adaptions.
Yep.
Becky's got my phone. She's checking my email. She's like, keeps refreshing it.
Refresh.
Wait, refreshing it, and it's like, oh, it's not come through yet. It's not come through. And I'm on the motorway. And I'm driving. She's refreshed it. She went, it's here. I've got it. So she's opened it. She's read it, and she went, you're in.
Nice.
And me not thinking, I've gone, fucking get in.
And let go of the steering wheel.
Let go of the steering wheel. Man, everything off the adaptions. Car's going like that, and I'm like, shit. Because I got it, and I'm like, where? Like, I just didn't think where I were.
Okay. Yeah.
I just had that news. I've just gone, get in. Everything off. Nothing on the steering wheels. Nothing. But yeah, that was like one of the best emails like I've had for a long time, from where I've been to where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And it was just working hard to get to Canada, doing the training and so on. Because you did the Canada Games as well, didn't you?
I think that's the first time we really met, wasn't it, over in Canada? but we didn't compete because I didn't do shot put and discus in Canada. So I don't think I think we had crossed paths several times, but we were in different arenas.
Yeah, cross paths at Headley Court and everything like that when you've come in to help some of the guys out with the walking.
Oh, okay.
So we crossed paths that way, but we only got that like bond, if you will, when we was going over to the games and that.
And it's funny, isn't it? Because when you turn out to events like that, for me and you, being at the far end of the spectrum as triple amputees, you walk around these hotels looking for other triple amputees and you're sizing them up like, right, he's a triple amputee. Does he look like a swimmer? Does he look like a shot putter? Does that guy look like he can hand cycle? Am I going to be again? And you spend these couple of days kind of eyeing everyone up that's not in your own team, trying to suss them all out and figure them out. And I found it really confusing the first year, like the classifications and, you know, you turn up at rowing and the guy beside me's got 2 arms and I'm like, I think you're in the wrong race, mate. Do you know what I mean?
It is weird. But what a buzz it were turning up in Canada, getting on that coach from the airport to your hotel, and every street you're going down, there's flags. I am Invictus. I am this. I am Invictus. And then once you got to your hotel, it was like an Invictus party, weren't it? Everyone
every night. Every night was like the lobby was crazy in Canada. Like when you walk in the hotel, I remember like steel bands, and I remember people doing like what they call where they wear the clogs and doing the special dancing. That was another night. Then you had some French thing going on the next night. It was just like a constant party. It was either party or compete. Do you know what I mean? Just like
I thought like Canada were a proper good buzz as well, because like all the countries were in one hotel.
Yes, absolutely.
So you got that. It were bonding with other guys as well, having that morale, and there were always someone there you could talk to.
Yeah,
no matter what. Like, and you used to get a lot of people just coming off the streets.
Yeah, because they had no idea what was happening.
And ask you for your autographs and that. Oh, you part of the Invictus Gate? Yeah. And it's like, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? But it were a proper buzz. The restaurants and that were all in the same hotel, so you didn't really have to venture out that far, because you had a steakhouse and that in the hotel.
Underground shopping centres.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was brilliant.
How did you do the first year? I can't remember.
Bronze in shot put, gold in discus.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, you're very early on anyway in your like progression as a professional athlete at that point, aren't you? So that's a hell of a haul to come away with on your first. I mean, international. Was that your first international event?
My first international event, and it was with all the work I put in. I just wanted to come away with something to show how hard I've worked.
Yeah.
And my first event was a shot put, and I threw my shot put, got bronze, and I got on that podium, and I was literally in tears because I got that something to bring home to show how hard I've worked. And then the next day I got my gold, and it might sound stupid, but it's a gold medal, but it didn't bother me as much as my bronze medal, because I just wanted something to bring home to show how hard I've worked.
Yeah.
And that bronze medal, that one thing, do you know what I mean? It'd have been different the other way around. Yeah, I'd have probably cried at the gold medal if it were the other way around. But it was just having that one thing I was taking home.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, mate. We won't go into Australia now. Where you did at Australia, we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll go into Australia. How did we get on in Australia?
Because in Australia we did compete. We did compete against each other.
We did compete because,
and you hammered me
because I wanted, like, with Canada, because I only picked discus and shot put, and then over in Canada they were the first 2 days of the games.
So you had a holiday then?
So after that, I was done. I would go in
Right.
there, like going to support other people and that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So Australia, I wanted to pick another sport to like push myself as well. So I picked the discus and shot put again,
Mm-hmm.
and I picked the indoor rowing. I picked the 4 minute and the 1 minute. But I didn't really know who I'd be up against until like the Invictus started doing the training camps and that.
Right.
And then when I turned up to the training camp and I seen like you floating about in the indoor rowing and that, I thought a bit of competition going on, a bit of like 2 triple amputees going at it. So as soon as I'd seen you and I knew you were doing the rowing, I had to do something just to make you think like I couldn't do it.
Okay.
I didn't want to give my strategy away. You know what
We're
I
on the
mean?
same team, dude. You're not supposed to be mentally fucking with me. We're on the same team.
But yeah, it was good. Do you know what I mean? Like the indoor rowing.
It sucked, man. Like everything about rowing sucks. Like the training, 6 hours of rowing, and on a Saturday, 6 hours on a Sunday. Then a drive home, like 3, 4, 5 hours. It was brutal, wasn't it?
Brutal, and it was like when it got, because rowing were the first competition for us, weren't it?
Yeah.
It swapped around, so that it would rowing the second day in, I think it was second and third day in or something. And just walking out in front of that crowd and the buzz, because where our ergs were, because we were sat there and just in front of us was all the UK supporters.
Yeah.
We were on that side, weren't we? So that was a bonus. You had everyone pushing you and telling you to go, and
the rowing.
I'm getting away with two silvers.
Yeah, I feel sick just thinking about it, mate. I never want to do that ever again. But you did the shot put and discus again in Australia, smashed me. What did you get? What did you pick up that time? I know, but tell everyone else.
I got a gold in discus. I remained discus champion.
Yeah,
and then I got gold in shot put.
All right, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you. I want to know this again. I love talking about people's mindsets and getting in their heads. Now, you were returning as the discus champion. You'd already got a bronze in shot put. I'd not done it before, but I keep myself fit and I'm athletic, or whatever. Did you have any thoughts of like, I've got everything to lose here, because if this dickhead turns up and just throws further than me and gets lucky, then what do I do? Do you know what I mean? Because that's kind of what I think would have been running through my head. It's like a boxer, you're the champ, and then some bloke, like when Rocky comes in to fight Apollo, Apollo's got everything to lose, Rocky's got everything to gain. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's not that. It's just like Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz.
Right. But did any of those thoughts go through your
head? A lot of things were going through my head, like because I were looking at everyone who we were competing against.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I was looking at everyone, and I try and figure out how they're going to throw, or what are their injuries before asking them. It was just thinking, and what were there? Were there 7 of us?
I think there were, yeah. I think there were.
I think there were about 7 of us, weren't there? One thing what did me on the discus was they'd lost my frame.
I remember because you were second. That the Albanian guy was first, and he had some real rickety piece of shit that was held together with masking tape. And then you were second, but your seat hadn't turned up.
Yeah, they'd lost my frame, and I'm like that played on me as well.
Yeah.
You don't really want that when you're going into a competition as big as the Invictus Games. You don't want your frame, because that frame were built for me.
Right, custom made.
But if I were to sit on someone else's seat, if I had to have done that, I could not have thrown how I throw.
Right. Yep, I get it.
And that was going through my head, and I was just watching how other people are acting in while waiting to go and throw. I was watching like what they're doing, what the techniques are, how are they calming down, or are they calming down, or are they psyching themselves up? But it weren't until I had to go, I was last because they couldn't find my frame. So I was last, and then my frame turned up, and I was mainly more worried, more watching you and the guy that went before me, because like I remember, like you nicked my technique.
I did because I didn't know what I was doing.
Right. You nicked my technique, right? Yeah. And I was just watching you use my technique, and I was just like, if he like beats me on my
Imagine
technique,
that. Imagine
right? If you'd have thrown like a fair length distance, I think I'd have just like got up and walked off. I think, because I'd have gone, nah, he's using my technique. And the thing what got me as well was because my coach were watching. My coach were watching from the UK.
Okay.
And you were using my technique, right? And I was watching the guy before me. Yeah, he had a bit of a decent throw, but from when he threw his first one, I knew I could beat him.
Right.
But then when I got up to throw, it was like I was using my own technique. I was comfy in my own frame, but it was loads of things going through my head. Like just the pressure. I couldn't calm myself down from them losing my frame.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I couldn't calm myself down, and like I'm gonna fuck up here. I'm gonna fuck up. But luckily enough, yeah, I'd come away with gold, so I remained the discus champion. But what did me was my coach had phoned me the next day, and she was talking to me. And I said, yeah. I said I just couldn't calm down because they'd lost my frame, and I only got it back at the last minute. And my coach was telling me what the commentators were saying, because we don't hear the commentary.
Right. Okay.
Everyone else, like everyone who's watching it on TV, hears the commentary. And when I got up to throw and I was using my technique, the commentary turned around and said, "Oh, well, here's Dave Watson from the UK using Mark Ormerod's technique." And I went,
yes.
I went, "Are you like?" My coach told me that. I went, "Are you fucking joking me?"
Yes, that's brilliant.
Right? And I'm like, "No, I'm not having that. I'm not having that."
Straight on Twitter. Right, you fucking idiot.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? He's been doing the sport 5 minutes now. I'm nicking his technique. You know what I mean?
It was a cracking event, though, mate.
It was same when we were doing the rowing. it was the same when we were doing the rowing. We like, do you know what I mean? You took your legs off,
Yeah.
right, and you used your prosthetic arm, right.
Mm-hmm.
But when I were rowing, I kept my legs on and I used my prosthetic arm as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the commentary, it were like, look at Mark already. He's a triple amputee. He's lost his right hand, blah, blah, blah. And then they get to me and it'd be like, look at Dave Watson here, he's doing really well. And I'm thinking, like, this is what my coach has been telling me. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm a triple amputee as well.
Yeah.
Fucking mention that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know what you mean, mate.
But yeah, like Australia, it was different, a lot different to Canada.
Yeah.
Like I said, we turned up to Canada, everything was done. There were Invictus everywhere. But when we turned to Australia, it was just like we were turning up on a holiday because nothing were there, nothing were Invictus up until like 4 days before, and we were there a week and a half or something.
Mm-hmm.
So walking around Australia in that, nothing Invictus up, it was just weird. It like plays on your mind as well.
Yeah, I think I prefer Canada, but the overall experience for all of it is amazing, mate. You know, and I really enjoyed the journey. I won't ever compete again because I think you need to give other people that experience and that opportunity. I'll definitely go out as either a mentor or a spectator, you know, and have a couple beers and actually enjoy the experience instead of being constantly on a competition treadmill.
We're both ambassadors for the Invictus Games, aren't we? We're helping the others go through, but we're nothing's going on at the moment, so we can't do it.
Hopefully, when all this COVID stuff, you know, disappears, we'll get some news. Find out. I don't know if they're going to stick with the Hague for the next one or what, but whatever it is, if I can get over there now, I'm going to get over there, and I'm just going to enjoy that atmosphere again without any. You know, any worry of competing or training or dieting or sleeping or any of that stuff. Just have some fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Mate, I could chat to you for hours. I've just looked in the top corner now. We've been at it for nearly 2 hours. I might have to give you a call again and get you back on for another episode, but I'm going to wrap it up for now, unless there's anything else that you want to quickly dive into.
Me and you have took like now the similar journeys, haven't we?
Yeah,
now,
absolutely.
Like doing the motivational speaking and trying to help other people overcome whatever they're going through.
Yeah, that's it, mate. We end up in these quite unique positions where I'm sure, like me in the beginning, you think, well, there's not much I can do in my life, and then as things move on and you meet other people and you get involved in things like Invictus, actually you realize how many opportunities come out of it. You know, being a speaker, writing books, doing podcasts, growing your social media to help people, inspire people, motivate people. You know, particularly, I'm not going to go in this rabbit hole because I said we've been on here a while, but you know, the positive effect you can have on children when you share your story with them, change their mindset. You know, there's so many opportunities that come from it, and you know, you're doing a phenomenal job of grabbing them and just running with them, mate. Well, listen, mate, thank you for giving up 2 hours of your day to share your story with everyone listening. Where can people find you? Because I know you're trying to grow your social media.
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I've got my website, DW Motivation. My Instagram is Dave Watson Motivation. And you'll like everything's on my website as well. So all my LinkedIn and my Instagram and that is all on there. So you'll find it all on there. But yeah, take a look.
And I will put physical links in the show notes for this and across all my social media when I'm promoting it. If you forget what Dave's just said about where he is on social media, or I forget to put the links in the show notes, just Google the UK's second best looking triple amputee. Obviously, I'll come up as the first. Dave will come up as the second. So you should be able to find all his details if you do that. Mate, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. It's been great catching up with you, mate. And I will again. I'll give you a call offline and we'll just have a quick catch up.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thank you, mate.
No problem.
I think that's probably the longest episode of the No Limits podcast that I've ever recorded. I've gone back and forth with this, thinking, should I keep it short and sharp? Should I just talk until we run out of things to say? And do you know what? I'm not going to stress myself out with it. I could have talked to Dave for a lot longer then, but if I'm being honest, I was bursting for a pee. So I found a natural point to bring it to an end. But that was Dave. You know, incredible story. He didn't go into massive amounts of detail like he normally does when he's on stage and he's speaking, but you get the gist of it. He's been through hell. He's hit rock bottom. He's come out the other side. He's refound a purpose, a focus, and a reason to keep moving forward with his life. And that's what he's doing. And now he, like many of us do when we're in these situations, we get this natural progression to then get to the stage where it becomes about contribution and taking your experiences, highs, lows, tragedies, triumphs, and sharing them with the world to help to inspire other people. And that's what Dave is doing now as a motivational speaker. Now, I'm going to put all the links you need to follow Dave on social media in the show notes here. Please go give him a follow, go give him a comment, let him know what you thought of the show, and let me know what you thought. As always, do me a favor, subscribe, like, comment where you can, share, review, all that good stuff that helps to put us out there, climb the rankings and get to that number one spot. Guys, thanks as always for all your support. I love it. I appreciate it. I never take it for granted. I will see you next time on the next episode of the No Limits podcast.